being here. There are 48 days until President Trump is inaugurated on January 20th. So in the next 6 weeks, how many more additional RCMP officers will be redeployed to the border to patrol between ports of entry by January 20th, sir?
Ms. Dancho, thank you for the question. The government has been working with the RCMP and CBSA in particular on how we can increase both the redeployment of officers and acquire new technology and equipment. We will have announcements to make in the coming weeks, recognizing that January 20th is obviously an important moment. I've seen the Commissioner's comments publicly, and he's talked to me about the ongoing redeployment the RCMP and CBSA make dependent on threat assessment. But that, I can assure you, that work is ongoing, and the details will be some of it's operational police planning. I would leave to the Commissioner,
Minister.
But happy to talk publicly about it.
May I just ask again, but the numbers, how many additional, what is the redeployment numbers for the border? Because you've made it quite clear, sir, that between ports of entry is RCMP jurisdiction. How many will be redeployed? But
again, Ms. Dancho, a very good question. We haven't made, as a government, I think, those final decisions. We're working based on the advice from the CBSA and the RCMP, of course. And I look to the Commissioner or the President if they're in a position to say precisely how many officers at what particular sector or what border crossing. Some of this might, in fact, be operational information.
Actually, we just spoke about it. It doesn't seem that there's been any conversations thus far about redeploying specific resources to the border between ports of entry right now, only if there's perhaps a surge from the United States into Canada. Because, of course, we know the Americans have an issue with what's coming from Canada into the United States. So thus far, there is no number available or really a plan, from what we understand, to redeploy RCMP resources. There's also not a plan to increase border agents either. So is there a number in your mind of what the plan is to increase border agents' boots on the ground by the 20th? What is the number that you're looking to increase it?
Again, I've said publicly, and we reassured our American friends at the dinner Friday evening in Palm Beach, that we will be increasing those numbers. I have received some advice from the Border Services Agency and the RCMP. I'm working with the Minister of Finance, and we'll be happy to announce the details in as much as is possible when they're finalized.
Thank you, Minister. But again, you've been talking about a plan, but there doesn't seem to be any concrete meetings that are happening to increase or to redeploy right now between the borders. I think that is an area of concern because you've said yourself you're not interested in expanding. It's not a priority to expand the CBSA mandate. And I'm sure you saw the communications from the union president there that it's so frustrating as a border agent to see these individuals crossing and that's not in their jurisdiction. So will you be expanding the CBSA mandate to beyond the port, to in between the port of entry, given these dynamics?
So again, Ms. Dancho, you've asked two questions. The first one is there haven't been any meetings to discuss redeployment. I had an opportunity yesterday with the President of CBSA and the Commissioner of the RCMP and our Deputy Minister to discuss potential options in this regard. So those meetings have been ongoing as recently as this time yesterday. Don't want to correct you. You said I have said that we're not interested in expanding the CBSA mandate. I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. What I have said is we're interested in taking immediate steps that will reassure Canadians and the Americans that the border remains secure and the integrity of the border is protected. But we're always interested. We've taken notes of the Union President's comments. The Commissioner and I have talked about this issue in the past.
Yes,
we haven't made any decisions in that regard, but are open to considering that as well.
Thank you. But what is the immediate step on the redeployment numbers? You can't tell me the numbers of how many you're going to redeploy. The Commissioner also is not aware of any plan in that regard, and the CBSA President also has not heard any asks from you to increase the boots on the ground. So it doesn't seem that there is immediate action forthcoming on this. And again, it's 48 days away, and we're facing down the barrel of a 25% tariff and economic recession. And there isn't a concrete plan here that I'm hearing from you about actual boots on the ground to address the concerns of the Americans. Again, so there's no number right now for the redeployment between ports of entry, whether from RCMP or from the CBSA.
So again, Ms. Dancho, I wouldn't imagine you'd want to put words in the mouth of the Commissioner or the President of CBSA. I had asked them probably a month and a half or 2 months ago, and a number of times since, obviously, the election of President Trump. As you noted, the initial concern was about a potential south to north flow of people arriving at the border. That was the conversation that captivated Canadians a few weeks ago. You've seen, in light of the President's comments a week ago, that's changed as well, issues around fentanyl. I have received advice from the Commissioner of the RCMP and the President of CBSA in terms of additional resources, including human resources, including personnel, that we could recruit, hire, and redeploy, as well as equipment. And as I said, I'm working with the Minister of Finance, and we'll be happy to tell Canadians about this important work when it's finalized.
It is a concern we've heard about for 20 days now from the borders for President Trump that this is going to be a problem. But there's no commitment that you're making today or in the past week, and certainly since your trip to Mar-a-Lago, to have additional resources.
I've just made that commitment.
How many, though?
But again, I told you, we're repeating ourselves. It's a circular argument. I've said that when we have finalized, there will be additional resources, human and equipment. We've said that consistently.
By January 20th?
And we will be making announcements in terms of procurement and personnel before that date. We are finalizing that as a government now, based on the advice that we received, the good advice from the RCMP and from the Border Services Agency. I understand it's exciting, and Canadians want to understand this. So the good news is it's coming.
Thank you, Ms. Dancho. Thank you. Your time is up.